Abraham is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we certainly have a great panel here, and with your minds and minds else out there working on this, we can probably cure this issue. Going back to Congressman Neuberger's argument of being reactive instead of proactive, the federal government is unfortunately often reactive, in my opinion, and it's like sending the Hindenburg to rescue the Titanic. We need to be better than that, and we should be better than that at this stage of the game. Mr. Parry, the CDC, I think in February, elevated Zika to level 1 activation, and you can help me, but I think I recall that the only other time is Ebola was active 1, H1N1, and being in Louisiana, I remember post-Katrina was a level 1 activation. So my question to you is, you've got evidently something that works here. You said you could get a 90% reduction in mosquito population in 6 months, which is, to me, a phenomenal feat. If CDC thinks this is so important, and I can assure you it's very important, I've treated microcephaly and microencephalitic children, and it's a horrible, horrible thing for a child to undergo that, and the parents also. What is the FDA telling your company as to why it won't give you an emergency declaration? I mean, you've been after this since 2011, according to your testimony. We know this is bad. We don't want any child to be born with microcephaly or microencephaly. What's the answer FDA is giving you? So why can't we do this now?
The answer is that we have received is it's complicated.
Well, come on, it's not that we've got wonderful scientists here, including yourself, that tells us we need to act now. We should have acted a year ago.
I absolutely agree. We're being treated as an investigational animal drug, as the sort of product class, if you like, because the genetic modification is a DNA insertion. Which means that from the FDA perspective, they would have to approve an animal drug in order to provide a public health benefit.
But you've got objective data that says this works now.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly the way we should go. We need to go down an emergency use.
We've got to kill these mosquitoes. I mean, I understand, look, I think it's critically important what we've talked about, better repellents, like Mr. Takano said, certainly spraying individually, but until we kill the mosquito, we can kill all we want to in our house, they're going to come back in. Mosquitoes are going to come from the islands, they're going to come up from the south. We've got, again, we've got to quit putting Band-Aids on this, and we've got to go to the root cause. The root cause, like you alluded to, is a mosquito. And somebody asked about pandemics, epidemics worldwide, and again, yellow fever, dengue, malaria, all these are vector-borne, and we've got to kill the source. So, I'm very frustrated, as I am with many government agencies, unfortunately, but with the FDA in this instance, it's out there, we know it's here, and we need to do something, but they're putting up blockages to your companies and other companies like yours.
I think we should encourage them to find the processes to make this happen.
Is the cost of your technology any more costly than spraying, traditional spraying?
I think in terms of cost efficacy, ours will be streets better, to be honest.
Really? Okay. And to the panel, I've just got a couple of science questions. Is this a intracellular or an extracellular virus? Does it live in the RBC, WC, or is it in the plasma? Where does it live in the human?
I think it replicates in cells, and I think work is underway on elaborating exactly which cell types are most favored by the virus. I think there was this convincing work a few weeks ago with brain tissue organoids to establish its affinity for developing neuronal cells. But I would say that the full preferences for the types of cells infected by the Zika virus are still being elaborated upon.
And Dr. Ernst, you said that certainly the mosquito vectors like the Aedes aegypti and the Alopecia transmit not only Zika, but other diseases such as dengue, yellow fever. When a mosquito that's infected with Zika and those other diseases bites somebody, are both viruses or more than one transmitted at the same time, or does Zika take precedent? Who wins that battle?
That's a good question. I don't think we know that yet. There's certainly some evidence that mosquitoes can be co-infected with dengue and chikungunya, but I'm not sure what the status of the research is right now on the interactions between dengue virus, for example, and Zika virus. I don't think we know that yet.
And one quick question, my time is out. After somebody's infected with Zika, is there antibodies built up? Can we test for antibodies in that person?
Yes, we can test for antibodies for Zika, but it's very difficult to disentangle if the person has had a previous dengue infection. Then when you try and test for antibodies, it becomes equivocal. The results become very difficult to interpret.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, I have 1,000 other questions also, but my time is up. So thank you very much for allowing me to go over.
Thank you, Mr. Abraham, and the gentleman from